Hey everyone, it's Sabrina.
And I'm Staci.
And we are
Homeschooled by Two Chicks.
This podcast is brought to you by Vitali Inspection Services.
In our podcast, we are going to be educating and entertaining our listeners with topics such as
local businesses, real estate agents. We'll be discussing topics such as charities and the charity that was founded by Carlo Vitali, as well as talking to our inspectors and the gadgets that they use.
Do you hear that? It's Inspector Vitali and his crew. It must be time for another home inspection. I'm sure they'll check your chimney too. Look at oil tanks and radon levels. Gotta check sewer lines are clear. Termites and pesky bugs, beware. Inspector Vitali and his crew will be there.
Hey everyone, so we are here today with Tim Crew. He is part of the John Terraby relocation team at
Berkshire Hathaway in Princeton.
And we are going to chit chat with Tim a little bit about what he does, his role with John Terraby, and where he came from, and how he's got a lot of experience in marketing and how to make your business grow, especially in real estate. So Tim, thank you. Welcome. How are you?
Hey,
Tim.
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
What is your role with the John Terraby relocation team there?
It's directors of events, marketing, operations, kind of a hodgepodge of all sorts of different things, and kind of overseeing a bunch of different departments.
You have this role because of experience you've had in other places. What have you done in the past to lead you to where you are?
So after I graduated from college, I took a bit of a leap of faith. That my family is actually is English, so I grew up with two passports. I've always wanted to live in London. I used to go there as a kid. I had a job lined up in New York in advertising. That's actually what I studied at the University of Michigan, and rather than kind of going that traditional path, at least from this area, people tend to kind of navigate towards the city. I decided to, again, kind of take a bit of a leap of faith. I didn't actually have a job lined up when I went over to the UK. I worked at an Asian fusion restaurant called Wagamama for a couple months until I kind of fell on my feet. I got a job with a sports marketing agency called CSM, Sport and Entertainment. And I worked as a creative strategist and a planner. Basically what we would do, and it's a bit weird because, again, I'm in a new country focusing on sports that I don't really understand. Like, I had to learn the rules of cricket, rugby, Formula One, etc. But basically what my job would be is I was on the commercial sales team. We would have a property, whether that property would be a Formula One team. We worked with the likes of Ferrari, McLaren, Aston Martin. We actually brought Aston Martin to market and rebranded them recently. Or it would be, Chelsea football team, Liverpool football team. It would be the NFL. We did all their events for the games they had in London. The Red Sox Yankees, when they played in London, that was my company, right? But basically, I was very top of the funnel. What we would do is we'd find that property and we'd then try to marry it up with a brand. So the property would approach us. We have an exclusive right to sell that property. And then we would then try to find title sponsors for, either the team, the event, or what have you. So my job specifically within the team was the messaging, right? So, okay, what's the alignment between this property and this brand? And then more importantly, what are they going to talk about? How are they going to sort of, lean on the authenticity of this property or the fandom that follows this property, the audience, and how they're going to tap into that and then actually align themselves with either the values or what have you within that property. And then more importantly, right, from a brand perspective, what are we going to sell? How are we then going to actually capitalize on that? So that was my role in 60 seconds.
And that sounds a lot like what you now need to do with real estate with John, correct? This is kind of how you've funneled from the larger piece to more of a streamlined focused area?
Correct. Yeah. So, So I should explain. COVID hit when I was in the UK, and the lockdown was very strict in the UK. I was feeling homesick prior to that. John had always tried to recruit me to come over. Our parents had places in Fort Myers in Florida. We'd meet up, and he'd always be like, "Hey, come work with me, come work with me, come work with me." I'm like, "Oh, I'm kind of doing my own thing." Like I had this idea, I wanted to be super independent, go forge my own path in this new nation and all this sort of stuff. COVID hits, everything changes, right? My mindset changed about everything. I became much more interested in like being family oriented, but also being around my friends and having that sort of tight knit group of people. And to be frank, I just didn't have that in the UK. So John spoke to me again. It was right time, right message, etc. John's real estate took off. John was doing very well. He's always had a great head on his shoulders, and he called me and said, "Do you want to come?" And I said, "Sure." And so I moved over here in December of last year, right before Christmas, right before the UK shut down again. And since then, again, I've been using sort of my background in marketing to sort of help position the Terrabee relocation team and John's business, and sort of steer them in the right direction. So that's repositioning the brand with how we talk to clients, how we did a whole brand refresh, just basic logo and stuff like that. But more importantly, it's who we're talking to, how we're talking about ourselves, and sort of how we can grow and scale the business going forward. So it's very similar to kind of what I was doing at that top of the funnel. But the important difference, the important caveat is now I'm also involved in actually executing what we're talking about. Previously, I would just kind of, you talk about it, the high level, you make the sale, and then, it was the next property or next brand. Now I'm actually involved in again, actually bringing it to life, which to be honest is so much more fulfilling. We can actually, I can see these ideas come to life. This partnership that we have, the conversation I'm even having with you guys right now is a great example of that. So we can actually, I can go to these events, I can see the ideas that we had, talk to the people that we wanted to reach, really see the impact we're making. And, it's incredibly fulfilling.
Because you get to see it on a more personalized level too. And you're involved in the events aspect of things, and you're involved in who it is that you're dealing with person to person, right? So when you guys have this, now you had this larger funnel and now it's more streamlined, what is it that now has made it more special, I guess, for you and more fulfilling? What, you're dealing with people on a different level now.
Yeah, I mean, look, just I guess the answer to that is twofold. One, we get to go to the events, meet people, and if we're doing something charity focused, we can see the impact that's having on them, and how much it means to them. That side of it is great. But also, I mean, the beauty of real estate is you're not selling paper or whatever, right? You're not selling something that people might see as trivial. They need to own, but it's potentially trivial, right? You're selling someone's largest asset, or you're selling them the American dream, right? Real estate is always tied in with the American dream. So selling someone an asset, giving them, allowing them to fulfill the dream that they had as a kid of being a homeowner, detached house, white picket fence, what have you, right? It's really nice to be able to, from start, meeting that client to either selling their home or helping them buy a house, to really see that process. And then at the very end, the fruit of your labor is the person's sort of happiness, or they sold their house for more and now they can go buy the nicer house they've always dreamed of in their dream area, or what have you, right? You're really able to sort of help the client, assist them in something that means so very much to that person. So that's
how are you guys setting it up so that you're doing something a little different than what other agents or teams are doing? What is it that's allowing you to maybe be more focused on what the homeowner is trying to get out of the process, or the buyer or the seller that's trying to get out of the process of real estate?
Yeah, so first things first, we're process driven, right? So that's been a huge focus of ours, making sure that every client that we interact with has the same experience, and that we're one step ahead. So basically we kind of see ourselves, a little bit like advisors or insurance people, like you shouldn't have to worry about selling your home when you work with us, because we're one step ahead. We've seen it all. We're already positioning ourselves, positioning you to be one step ahead. Secondly, I think you see a lot, especially with like the Zillows or the bigger real estate companies, you see a lot of talk about the market on a macro level. And it's kind of like when people talk about the economy, and the economy's up, the economy's down, what have you. That's not how people experience the economy. People experience the economy in very specific ways, right? I go to the gas pump and gas is more expensive. I want to go buy chicken for myself or even my dog who's ill, and prices have gone up, right? People experience it in really specific ways, not on this macro level. Yet people always talk about the real estate world. Again, prices have gone up 18% in New Jersey. What does that mean? Has my area gone up? What's it look like from my house? So we've really focused on hyper localization, right? And that's beyond even areas, zip codes. That's neighborhoods, and more specifically streets, and then even more specific than that, actual houses, right? You know, small little differences in, we know that this neighborhood has had certain issues because of X. Maybe it's in a flood zone, or maybe there was something that the builder didn't disclose, or what have you. So we can then pass that information off to the buyer, right? Or maybe we know that this neighborhood is actually super desirable because it's right at sort of the edge of walking distance to a train station or what have you, right? And then specifically within that street, oh, you have a brick front house, that's great, but I know that the stucco houses in this area actually are having trouble. Water's seeping in behind them. There's actually this sort of right? So it's really understanding, if you're working with a buyer, what potential setbacks with this specific house there are within this specific neighborhood, within this specific area, right? And if you're a seller, we can bring that same knowledge to then obviously position themselves to sell their home, getting one step ahead of potential issues that other people might bring forward, etc. So really focusing again on the house, and that also starts with focusing on that specific seller, that specific buyer, listening to their interests, and really sort of curating and finding a bespoke solution.
Seems like you're almost trying to create almost like an expert quality to what you're doing, so that you have all the facts and knowledge surrounding even both sides of the deal if need be, and so that you're bringing more information to the buyer, the seller, or whoever's involved. And that's actually really interesting, because I think not a lot of people take the time to really zero in on things like that.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, again, you're either selling people's largest asset, or you're selling them the dream, right? And real estate is a very personal business, but you're not actually, like, for example, when John and I show a house, we're not walking into the house and trying to, oh my God, we love this bedroom, trying to sort of upsell them. It's an incredibly personal experience, right? You're either going to like the house or you're not. We're there to sort of fill in the cracks, right? So you can look at us, we'll advise you on certain things, right? And we'll make sure that the transaction goes smoothly, and that you're not being either taken advantage of. You have all the proper, full information. We're consulting you throughout this process, right? But again, it's personal. You either like the look of the house, you like the feel, or you don't, right? And that's exactly what I think is either potentially missing in the industry, or that other that we actually provide, right? We're really focused on being local experts, local area experts, and then understanding those very specific markets, right? And then sort of our growth strategy, just to expand on that, right? It's going to be a little bit slower than others, right? Because we're really keen on understanding every sort of area that we get into, starting off with the areas that we know, Mercer and Middlesex County, right? Really understanding those areas, and then hiring a group of other people if we want to expand outwards from that core, that nucleus, that understand those areas that we can pass off to, right? John and I are not going to suddenly start running off to Bergen County and selling homes there, right? Because we don't necessarily know about it. But if we can grow outwards, we can find someone that knows about Bergen County, a team of people that know about Bergen County, and then we can use the same process, this data-driven process, this people-first focused process, and expand and build in these other areas. So it's a little bit slower. It's more interpersonal, but I think once we can establish that model, we can build it upwards.
So Sabrina and I heard that you guys have some good stuff coming up for 2022.
We do. We do. We're focused again a lot on our partnerships at the moment. We're really sort of delving into certain specific target audiences. Really, I think COVID sort of opened our eyes to the need for public service workers and sort of frontline workers, etc., cops, medical professionals, firefighters, teachers, etc., the strain that they've been put under. So we're really focused on seeing if we can give back to those groups first and foremost. They're pillars of the community, and as I just spoke about, we're really big on understanding and sort of entrenching ourselves in those communities. So going into 2022, that's going to be a big focus for us. And then beyond that, it's just getting out in the community, doing a bunch of events with you guys, with some other potential partnerships, and really getting out there, speaking to people. There's no better way of, you can look at a spreadsheet all day long, but there's no better way of understanding what's going on than speaking to people. So really excited just to get out there and to start these conversations and learn a little bit more.
Thank you for speaking with us today, because that was actually really informative, and we're glad that you guys are doing what you're doing, and we're glad to be in cahoots with you guys too, because we also believe in a lot of that interpersonal connection, and honestly, at the end of the day, relationships with people are what drive everything. And that's
Totally
what keeps
agree.
communities going and keeps things moving forward in this world. So glad that you guys are doing what you're doing, and that you continue to have the success that you do, and I'm sure 22 is going to be an awesome year for you guys.
Thank you. And look, here's to this partnership and entering the new year together and seeing where things go. Really excited.
Thanks, Tim. We appreciate your time. We know you're busy, so thanks so
guys.
much for joining us, and we'll be seeing you and talking to you soon.
You as well, guys.
All right,
Take care.
Tim, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Tim.
All right. Bye.
Thanks.
You may think that you are completely insignificant in this world, but someone drinks coffee from the favorite cup that you gave them. Someone heard a song on the radio that reminded them of you. Someone read the book that you recommended and plunged headfirst into it. Someone smiled after a hard day of work because they remembered the joke that you told them today. Someone loves themselves a little bit more because you gave them a compliment. Never think that you have no influence whatsoever. Your touch, word, and good deed which you leave behind cannot be erased.